people's cost of living goes up. It might seem like I come down hard on landlords. I'm picking on them. I'm not. Ever since days of old, we've had innkeepers. There's a certain need for a certain amount of innkeepers. But I say, let's save it for our seniors, the handicapped, the elderly, but not your able-bodied men out there. Okay, they become landlords and all this. And, this is how so many people got to be landlords, is because we had all these foreclosures because of what Bill Clinton did and what George Bush did. Okay, they blew out the pipes of the economy. People lost their behinds. So there would be a lot less landlords out there if it wasn't for all these. These aren't arm's length transactions. These are forced sales, short sales, all this stuff, auction sales of their housing. This is bad. We're losing prosperity. We've lost prosperity in California. The majority of California residents are renters now. So I'm not picking on landlords. I mean, the people in the lending have been involved. People in the real estate have been involved. All of them. So I'm not picking on landlords. We need a certain amount of landlords. What we love, when you're on the road, you need a motel, temporary lodging. But it's just growing and growing. We don't need all this. This is showing the problem is growing. But for some people, it's benefiting them. Their numbers are going up, so they like it. It's crony capitalism is working in their favor. We're in a very precarious time. It's very dangerous, very tenuous. We've got to understand that what we're facing here, the foreboding nature of facing reality and extricating ourselves and what it's going to take. We got to get serious. But to not get serious is to just accept more dubious war and the children dying and being maimed and innocent people and women and all the crime and all the wreckage out there, the homicides and the debt, the misery, okay, the homelessness, the abortions, the prostitutions, all the vices that we engage ourselves in to escape from. So that's what you think money's so precious and indispensable. Just remember, you'll stand before God and you will speak and rationalize your psychobabble before God. Okay, I'm not buying it. Okay, and no aware people are buying it. I'm not. Because I want to be off the junk completely, and I know we can be completely off the junk. So one way or another, we're getting off the junk. Jesus is going to rule this world. I'm sorry I used the, bitch is a word. I used to use that word as a term of endearment. In high school, I remember my friends and I don't know what it was, but it was just one of our favorite, because it wasn't, you couldn't get in trouble for saying bitch even in high school. So, you go out in the quad on a break or something. They had a quad at Santa Cruz High, I remember, and meet your friends out there, and a lot of the surfer buddies, we gravitated toward each other because we had in common, we surfed, but we'd approach each other, hey bitch, how's it going, and all this, so I don't see the term as a derogatory term, okay, and we all know it's another term for a female dog and all that. So when I say I'm nobody's bitch, I don't want to offend anyone. I'm certainly women, I exalt women, okay, I think women are on a whole nother level. Remember, for a long time, there wouldn't be any men if it wasn't for women, okay? And women could say the same thing about men. Well, if it wasn't for men impregnating us, so it's a very godly thing. God built this thing that we are dependent upon each other. We are equal. The first chapter of the Bible lays that out, sets that in stone, that God, the nature of God, is male and female, okay? That's how God chooses to be. So we are equal whether anybody wants to face it or not. That's just the way it is. So anybody can believe what they want, that we're not equal, but the fact is we are very, very equal. And I kind of think of women as better because I'm the opposite sex, and I need women. I mean, women fulfill all my needs in terms of my sexual. It's all in. If I got fantasies, they're all in my fantasies. I mean, it's just they're awesome creations of God. God created the woman, and she's undeniably very artistically created. Her body is just it's almost magic, the way it's just so enticing and just motivating to want to procreate, this drive. It's just a beautiful thing. Our sexuality, who gave us the sexuality? It's beautiful. So I absolutely adore women. I absolutely just think they're the most awesome creation ever. But I know really the only really 100% proper right sexual engagement any man should have is in a marriage with a wife. Okay, that doesn't mean everybody and his brother doesn't do otherwise. And we know a psychiatrist or psychologist would back me up on that. That everybody engages in folly, sexually speaking. God made it very easy for us to do that. And he knew that it was going to happen. He's got to have known. I mean, he made it just work. So, fantasy works, all this stuff. And if that doesn't, in our sleep, we'll have dreams and all this nocturnal emissions and all this stuff. It's the way he created us. So it's a beautiful thing if we didn't have knowledge of good and evil, if we didn't know perversion from non-perversion, if we didn't ever know we were even naked, it'd be very pure. So it'd be nice to be free from our sin entirely. But the point is that women are awesome creatures, and I guess men, a lot of women feel that way about men, and that's beautiful. It's a very godly relationship, and the desire to procreate and all this stuff. The sexuality and the climaxing, all this stuff, he made it to feel so pleasurable and enjoyment and the joy and all that stuff. Remember who gave it to you. Just remember, who gave it to you. And it was meant to be pure. It wasn't make us feel empty and vapid and sinful. Okay, that's where the knowledge of good and evil is a bad thing. We're not supposed to know bad. Okay, only good. We're supposed to be holy and pure. Trump needs to address chemtrailing. I believe, as radical as it may sound, that we have a God-given right to know what we're breathing. And if anybody doesn't believe that, they can kiss my behind. Loss of prosperity. I wonder when people are going to awaken to this. The home ownership rate in California, maybe when it reaches, 40% home ownership or 30 or 20, maybe then it'll start hitting people and say, hey, you know what? Our rents keep going up. Fewer and fewer people are homeowners. More poor people keep losing their behinds and losing their homes. When are we going to get with the program? When are we going to say this is a bad thing? High housing costs are not good, contrary to what the mainstream media has been feeding us, this bull. That higher and higher taxes are good. Higher and higher cost of living is good. Higher and higher housing costs are good is what they've been peddling. Okay, all these special interest groups colluding and lying and deceiving, the propaganda, the gaslighting, the BS. The entire system is riddled and rife with BS, okay? On internet privacy. I say this is my idea. Anybody that's spying on your browser history, on what your internet behavior, whatever they're doing, look, you have a right to access anything on there. If there's a site that's illegal, then law enforcement should go after that site, okay, whatever it is, however many billions of dollars they have, okay. You can't be too big to fail on the internet, okay, like they did with the bankers. Wasn't that it? Too big to fail, and they're too big to jail, right? No. So if there's something illegal going on, go to the source who's putting it out. You don't go to the end user, okay? You have a right to access anything that's online, and it's only your business. And if they want to make it their business, then whatever human being gets to see your browser history, what you're doing on the internet, then we, the people, have a right to see theirs personally. Name them by name. We want to know who they are. If they know who we are and they can name us by name, we want to know who they are, who got to see my information. That's my Fourth Amendment right. My private effects, papers and effects. We have a right to privacy. It's constitutional right. Okay, but if they're going to breach it, then we have a right to breach it the other direction and know what the hell they're doing. Okay, know what the hell their browser history is, what they're doing on the internet. It's a two-way street. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay, that's how I think we ought to approach this internet privacy thing. Make it law. Okay, if you're going to spy on somebody, they get to spy on you. That's it. Okay, but if the FBI or anybody other law enforcement agency wants to weed out the bad guys, you start at the top. Okay? Bandon was let go. I don't know what that's all about. Some are speculating on Alex Jones that it might have been about him being against the Syrian thing. Maybe he was spelling out that was false flag, and so Paul Ryan somehow might have had something instrumental in getting him ousted. out of his position. We don't know what's going on yet, but God help us if Trump goes sideways. That means I was deceived. The good news is that conservatives are quicker to jump ship. They'll abandon Trump, boom, like a hot potato. Okay, and that's different about so many professed liberals. Okay, because being a liberal is a good thing. I'm not using that in a pejorative way. Okay, that's a good thing. I'm a liberal. I have liberal precepts and principles. I also have conservative ones. I just want the best of both worlds. That's it. That's who I choose to be. Those are the beliefs I choose to adopt. Okay, I just want the best of both. I'll leave the rest for somebody else to nitpick about. Okay, but I'm not going to get into the excruciating minutia of the different philosophies. Okay. But, I just hope to God Trump hasn't gone sideways on us. Blurb about food prices are slightly deflating. So your food dollars are been slightly going up in worth. That's a beautiful thing. That's what you want to continue. Yeah, the repression that some people have that are involved in religious sects, and I know that it's pretty well known that there's people have problems underage, like in Saudi Arabia, the child brides and all this stuff, this pedophilia. Okay, this is from people being taught to repress their sexual, for lack of a better term, deviance. This knowledge of good and evil. I mean, in the '70s, I was a teenager in the '70s, man. I mean. I was, look, I'm going to put it bluntly, okay? I was a man whore, okay? And there was a lot of women out there that were women whores, okay? And sluts, I guess, is what, that's what we did. So I got it all out of my system. I didn't have any perversions, okay, about that, okay? But people that weren't allowed that, that right, go by the grace, not by the letter of the law. Oh, no, you got to restrain yourself and repress that energy. Okay, so these priests and these other religious groups, okay, I think it's happening with Islam. And I don't know what the Jews' issues are. I don't know what kind they have with the pedophilia. I don't know. I'm just not picking on any group. I'm just saying that this is a problem that people have. I mean, when kids were kids, I know my sisters and I remember being a kid and it had nothing to do with my parents. Weren't coaching us to play doctor, but this is the kind of stuff. Am I alone out there to say, yeah, we played doctor as kids? Yeah, I was curious, about what this thing between my legs was, and so I was curious, and so this is what I did. So that's not so weird with kids, but when you're of full-grown men or women, you're of the age of accountability. You've got no business molesting a child. Okay, that's not okay. Neither by the rules of men or by the rules of God. Their brains aren't formed. Their bodies aren't formed. Okay, you can't do it. It's a taboo that is written in stone. You can't hurt a child because that harms a child. You cannot do it. Better to not been born. Better to be dumped at the depths of the sea than harm one of these little ones. Okay, that's it. It's as simple as that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay, I don't care how much you've repressed your sexual energy. You can't hurt a child. Okay, get it out of your system some other way. Some other way, because prostitution's illegal, even though it's the world's oldest profession. You could say, well, but it's immoral. Women shouldn't be selling their bodies, and there's all these practical reasons why it's illegal. Whatever, okay? Whatever, okay? It's all about what God decides. If God allows prostitution, as long as there's money and there's profit in it, you're going to have these problems. So the law can come down as much as they want. It's not going to stop it. It's just like raising my cost for smoking. Does raising the price for cocaine cause people to stop? No, it makes it more dear. It actually makes people want it more. There's a certain law involved here that the more you raise the price of something, often it attracts more people. You get more money. There's more profit in it. It's just like a painting. If you're selling some beautiful painting for $50, people think, oh, it must be a copy. It must be, must be a replica or something. It can't be, $50. If it was $500, maybe I could see it. But they won't pay it if it's 50. Do you understand how this works? So that's no solution, just raising the cost. Oh, that's going to make people, that's going to dissuade people from buying that thing. It doesn't work that way. That's how the system works. It's illogical. It's madness. Just like Section 8 housing for the poor. $50 billion a year, and the problem keeps growing and growing of homelessness. So the answer, of course, right? I'm not trying to put words in people's mouths, but wouldn't Section 8 HUD say, well, the answer is $100,000 a year? Then maybe we can end homelessness. right? 100 billion a year. And then we'll watch a problem get worse. I'll say, well, we were wrong. We miscalculated it. We need 200 billion a year. That'll fix it. So they keep giving themselves raises. They make more and more money. You understand? And the problem gets worse and worse. Okay. It's sick, man. We're twisted. We're sick. We're a sick species in need of logic, in need of God.